Have you ever craved a certain food from your home country? And not only are you unable to replicate it, but you're also frustrated by this entire situation? Well, that's culture shock for you. Welcome to We Are Here Too, a podcast about mental health and moving abroad. This is Francesca, your host, an Italian counsellor living in Scotland. You guessed it right. Today's episode is about culture shock. No matter the number of migrations we have under our belt, foreign cultures are funny things, okay? And they do impact us. I also believe that the severity of the impact is really reliant on the circumstances we found ourselves in at the time of migration and what awaits for us in the new country. And I also think it happens very much on a continuum. So on one side, we can be pleasantly surprised by local habits and customs. For example, I remember since I moved to Scotland, I had daily conversations about the weather with work colleagues, friends and strangers, something that it's not very common to me as an Italian. And then on the other side, I found myself being incredibly frustrated and tired. Like, for example, those many times in the past I tried to explain something in English and there was no way I could make my point come across. This is one way of explaining the impact of culture on us. But let me tell you, I tried to record this episode so many times, and every time I tried to explain culture shock, I was like, no, this is not working. Because I think it's not only about like how pleasant something is or how frustration and irritation I get from something, right? It's not just there. It's about conflict. It's the internal conflict and confusion we experience when we are abroad about everything that is happening in our life. It's the effort that we put into integrating into another culture, trying to not lose ourselves in the process and the feeling like we failed. Culture shock, to me, it's also about the struggles of making sense of who we are in this new reality, while everything else around us feel like it's not working. Or we idolize our country beyond healthy. We are bored and lonely because we are still trying to figure out how to create a support network from scratch, and we end up trusting the wrong people in the process. And then good luck to us and our sense of hope. It's a lot, eh? It takes a certain flexibility to adapt to new cultural idiosyncrasies, right? We don't always have the capacity to be flexible due to the nature of our migration, most importantly, and then our history. So there is a massive difference in integrating something new when we are on holidays, for example, to starting a new life, again, elsewhere, and having a feeling that it's not working. And then homesickness becomes real. Over the years, there are things that I did to make the process of moving abroad easier for me. And I also noticed the things that didn't go that well. And let me know if any of these practices sound familiar to you. So one of the things that I did to make the process easier are creating a structure before moving. So I made sure that I had accommodation and job or internship sorted before leaving. I learned plenty about the country I was going to, so I could maximize my time there. I also knew that my experience abroad was time limited, except for when I moved to Scotland. And I actively sought communities of foreigners and put myself out there so I would create a support network as soon as possible. Last but not least, I reached out to people who were already part of my life, so I was not feeling lonely in my earlier days of migrating elsewhere. Some of the things that didn't work for me were knowing nothing about the country. So I was incredibly underprepared, which made it very difficult for me to navigate the new society as it was and to understand cultural differences. I was heavily relying on the person I migrated with. And let me tell you, it's a horrible feeling, especially when things do not go well, knowing that the only person that you know you rely on and the things between the two of you are not going well. Horrible, horrible feeling. Also, when things didn't go well for me is when I moved elsewhere, having little to no savings and a low income, which made my life incredibly precarious. And it added that sense of like, oh my God, I'm stuck here. I have my finances are so bad that actually I can do nothing. I cannot go out with friends for teas or coffees, so my ability to socialize is incredibly decreased and my sense of achievement is incredibly compromised. And on top of everything else, the sense of like, what am I gonna tell the people at home? How am I gonna explain my life here to the people at home? Which then basically meant I bottled up a lot of everything that was happening for me, and I didn't reach out. These, of course, are my experiences, and your experience of migration is yours only. And I'm sure you can find your own list of do's and don'ts that can help you with future migration, if that's what you want to do, right? If you want to migrate again, or if you are considering migrating for the first time. Anxiety and depression are a reality among people who migrate, and how couldn't it be, right? Migration is stressful, even when we choose it and are excited about it. You're basically uprooting yourself. This doesn't necessarily mean that migration is the cause of all our troubles in the new country, but the stress that comes with it may affect our immune system, and we may experience aches and pains as a reaction to these increased stress levels if we don't know how to work with it. We have our unique way of coping with shock and change. So, for example, some of us may turn to substances and alcohol to deal with the stressors of being in an unfamiliar and unsupportive environment, whilst others may need to take on responsibilities and refuse to delegate. And that's all because we need to regain control where we feel like we don't have any. For sure, if I had to migrate again, there are a few things I would do now to support my mental health a bit better. First and foremost, I would admit to myself that migrating is stressful and is impacting me in a way or another. Second, I would nourish better my old relationships through social media and new technology. I have no excuse to not stay in contact. 3, I would use the opportunity to learn a new language to connect to others who are in my same situation, so they're new to the country. And this would also give me an opportunity not only to get to know locals, but also to feel less lonely and start creating a new community. And this is like sub 0.3, so 3.1. I have to remember that creating new relationships requires time, and I cannot achieve the same level of intimacy and familiarity I have with the people back home. Number 4, I would create a routine as soon as possible. That means giving myself a time when I wake up and the time I go to bed. I know myself, and I cannot cope well if my eating habits are a bit all over the place, or if I stay at home for entire days and weeks to end because I have nothing else to do and I'm bored and I feel lonely and a bit sad. So I know that as soon as I moved to a different country, I would try to keep moving my body. So I would try to go out every day, even for a walk in the neighborhood, and I would try to have a better eating experience. Point number 5, I would try to be a tourist in the new city. There are so many blogs out there who offer precious information about the country's culture and folklore and things that you can do in that country. So I would immediately look for these blogs, and I would then see if maybe like the people who work on the blogs, they organize events or anything that I can join. Last but not least, I would try and have fun. I always forget the importance of playing and laughter when I move abroad, because it feels like a very mechanical, like I need to pack this, I need to remember this thing. And when you go to the new country, just like, okay, I need to learn this and I need to learn that and I need to do ABC. No, I need to stop and have fun sometimes. This is so incredibly important, and I'll try to keep that at the back of my mind. These are the most important tips I would give myself if I were in a position to migrate again. Do you have any more tips you would like to share with us? You can leave a comment on my Instagram page. I actually created a post just for this episode. And you can find information in the description below. And most importantly, if you are enjoying this podcast and you would like to support me, consider sharing it with friends and family and leave a review. This would mean the world to me. Thank you again, and see you at the next episode. Bye!